Hello to everyone who is truly ready to look within. Have you ever noticed that the same life situations trigger the same, often unwanted emotional reactions in you again and again? Someone says something, and instantly you feel hurt, irritated, disrespected, or become defensive. This is not a coincidence and not the result of a bad day. What we are dealing with is called the cycle of emotional reactions, and most people live entirely inside this cycle. Imagine your life as a road. Every time you react in a habitual way with anger, frustration, or resentment, you deepen the groove on that road. The more often you travel it, the deeper it becomes and the harder it is to get out. These reactions, which seem spontaneous, are in fact learned, conditioned responses. They were formed in the brain through years of repetition. Every time you get irritated or angry, the brain strengthens a specific neural pathway, making that reaction more automatic in the future. Over time, these reactions become background patterns, familiar, part of your personality, and the norm of your existence. Think of the last moment when something threw you off balance. Maybe someone disrespected you, ignored you, or acted unfairly. In that instant, your body reacted. Your heart rate increased, tension appeared, emotions surged. This is not just a response to the current situation, it is the activation of an internal program shaped by past experiences when you felt something similar. You are not consciously choosing to react this way. Your brain and body, trained through years of repetition, switch into automatic mode. We often live on autopilot, experiencing emotions without questioning their origin. Many people wake up, grab their phone, and immediately allow external stimuli to determine their state. A negative comment, irritation, a message left unanswered, a sense of rejection, traffic on the way, frustration. Without realizing it, we hand over control of our inner state to the outside world. As a result, our emotional stability becomes dependent on circumstances we cannot control. This is the root of why so many people feel stuck and keep reliving the same scenarios over and over. They don't notice how they themselves feed the patterns of the past. It is a closed loop, and until it is broken, we remain prisoners of old reactions. But what if there's a way out? What if no one and nothing can control how you feel anymore? This is where the next stage begins, awakening and reclaiming inner power. No one makes you angry. No one makes you upset. You react based on your past programs. This is the turning point where you can take control back. Until this moment, it's as if you have been living with a remote control in the hands of other people and circumstances. They press a button and you produce a programmed reaction: anger, hurt, irritation. The truth may sound provocative, but it is simple. No one pushes your buttons. You react the way you learned to react in the past. The key to changing this dynamic is awareness. The moment you understand this, you reclaim your power. This doesn't mean denying what's happening or escaping reality. It means changing your internal response. Every time you blame others for your feelings, you reinforce the old program. You confirm to your brain that this reaction is correct. But when you begin to see the trigger not as the cause, but as a stimulus for an automatic reaction, you stop being a victim. You become the observer and the one in charge. Next time you feel irritation rising, pause. Don't react immediately. Notice how the emotion rises in the body. Feel it, but don't feed it. Simple observation without judgment and without immediate action begins to break the old pattern. A space appears between stimulus and reaction, and in that space lies your freedom of choice. This shift from believing that the world controls me to understanding that I choose my reaction is fundamental. It is not passive acceptance, but an active reclaiming of control over your inner state. You are not here to be a hostage of your environment. You are here to master your inner world. Modern neurobiology confirms this. The brain has neuroplasticity. It can change, adapt, and reorganize throughout life. Every thought, emotion, and action either strengthens old neural connections or forms new ones. Old reactions are well-paved highways. New ones are narrow trails at first, but with repetition they grow stronger, and the old ones gradually lose power. The first step in this process is awareness. As long as reactions are automatic, they control us. But the moment you begin to notice bodily sensations, thoughts, and emotions, you step out of autopilot mode. This is not about suppressing feelings, it is about observing them. And it is precisely this skill that gradually weakens old neural connections and opens the path to genuine emotional freedom. Now comes the next, equally important stage, consciously choosing a new response. This is no longer just self-observation, but active intervention in the habitual script. The second step is to make a different choice. Your brain and body are used to reacting in a certain way, but that reaction is nothing more than a learned behavioral pattern, and any pattern can be changed. Imagine you've been walking the same beaten path for many years. First, you stop. That is awareness. Then, instead of walking the same route again, you intentionally begin to carve out a new path beside it. This is what forming a new choice looks like. When you feel irritation or frustration rising, take a deep breath and act differently. Instead of automatically slipping into anger, shift your focus. Instead of the usual emotional reaction, choose another one. At first, this may feel unnatural, and that's normal. Your body is accustomed to the old way of being. If for years you reacted with stress, anger, or disappointment, those neural pathways have become like highways, fast, automatic, deeply ingrained. Moreover, the body becomes accustomed to the chemicals produced during these emotions, cortisol during stress, or the neurotransmitters associated with anger. It literally craves its familiar dose. That is why change initially feels so difficult. The body demands familiar states, even if they are destructive. And here, repetition plays the key role. It is the foundation. The more often you practice a new reaction, the more natural it becomes. Each time you choose a different response, you carve a new neural road. At first, it is weak and barely noticeable, but over time it strengthens while the old highway begins to lose its dominance. It's like returning to training after a long break. At first, the muscles resist, discomfort appears. The body wants to return to its previous state, but with regular practice, it adapts, becomes stronger, and what once felt difficult becomes easy. Emotions work the same way. This second step is not an abstract idea, but a concrete action. It is a conscious interruption of the old script. For example, instead of responding with aggression to criticism, you can choose a pause, focus on your breath, shift attention to bodily sensations, or simply step away for a moment. The key is to make a conscious choice, not to follow the familiar path, but to try a different one. With each such decision, you literally rewrite your brain, forming a freer and more resilient version of yourself. We have already explored how to recognize and interrupt old patterns, but simply avoiding negative reactions is not enough. Our goal is not only to remove the unwanted, but also to actively create a higher state. This brings us to the concept of shifting emotional or energetic frequency. It is about consciously training the mind and body to remain in elevated states, calm, gratitude, love. How do you achieve this? It means changing your state of being so that external circumstances no longer control your inner world. You deliberately train your mind and body to live in a higher emotional mode. This is not superficial positivity, but a deep practice that affects the entire organism and reprograms it at the cellular level. With regular practice, the brain and body begin to function at a different frequency, and over time, what used to trigger you loses its power. It is important to understand that emotions are not only psychological experiences, but physiological processes. Every emotional state is accompanied by the release of specific chemicals. If a person constantly experiences anger, the body becomes accustomed to the chemistry of anger. If they live in stress, they become dependent on stress hormones like cortisol. That is why change initially feels so difficult. The body demands familiar states, even if they are harmful. True transformation begins when you teach the body to exist in new emotional states: calm, love, gratitude. At that moment, the brain and nervous system undergo reprogramming. The body no longer needs stress hormones to feel normal. On the contrary, it begins to seek elevated emotions. And when this shift occurs, old triggers lose their power. It is as if you rise to a different level and become unreachable. Someone may say something unpleasant and you simply won't react, not because you suppress your feelings, but because you no longer operate on the same frequency as the irritant. This is not an attempt to control the external world, but mastery of the internal one. Such a shift in inner energy changes the outer reality as well. You begin to align with different events, different situations. You no longer attract what used to trigger you because you no longer resonate with that state. This is not mysticism, it is science. The brain, the body, and the emotional state are interconnected. By consciously managing your inner state, you recalibrate the entire system to a higher level of functioning. This is the foundation of true emotional resilience. If our goal is to stabilize ourselves in a higher emotional state, the question arises, how exactly do we train the mind and body? There are two exceptionally effective tools that accelerate this process: meditation and visualization. These are not trends, but scientifically supported practices that enhance neuroplasticity and the process of reprogramming. Let's begin with visualization. The brain does not make a fundamental distinction between real experience and vividly imagined experience. This feature can be used to your advantage. If you close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself responding calmly and confidently in a situation that used to trigger you, the brain begins to reorganize as if this experience has already happened. You are training your nervous system in advance for a new reaction. This is why professional athletes have used visualization for decades, mentally rehearsing perfect execution of movements. Their brain learns as if the actions are happening in real life. This is not fantasy. During visualization, the same neural networks activate as during real action or emotional experience. In this way, you create new neural connections for the states you want to embody. Want calmness? Practice the feeling of calmness. Want strength? Train the feeling of strength. Through conscious imagination, you establish these states as your new baseline. The second powerful tool is meditation. It is one of the most effective ways to break out of old patterns. During meditation, the brain waves that support habitual reactions slow down, creating the conditions for new ones to form. By closing your eyes, focusing on your breath, and consciously shifting your emotional state, you train the brain to live in a different reality. Over time, this becomes natural. Meditation helps you detach from automatic reactions and observe thoughts of emotions without identifying with them. It is important to understand, this is not suppression of emotions, but transcending them through choosing a higher state. Meditation creates that very space between stimulus and reaction, and in that space, freedom is born. You learn to disconnect from external noise and return to yourself, to observe thoughts without clinging to them, to step back from emotions that no longer serve you. The more consistent the practice, the stronger becomes the part of you that remains stable under any circumstances. This is the version of you that exists beyond triggers and external influences. Through meditation and visualization, you become an active participant in creating your new emotional reality. We have already discussed the brain's ability to reprogram itself and the tools, meditation and visualization, that support this process. But what happens to the body? Our emotions are not only psychological experiences, but deeply physiological processes. And unfortunately, the body can develop a dependence on certain emotional states, even if they are destructive. Every time you experience an emotion, the body produces chemicals that reinforce that state. This is a key insight. If a person regularly feels anger, the body adapts to the chemistry of anger. If someone lives in constant stress, the body becomes dependent on stress hormones such as cortisol. This is not a metaphor, it is the reality of our internal biochemistry. An emotion triggers a chemical reaction, and that reaction reinforces the emotion. A closed loop emerges, similar to addiction, where the drug is the body's own stress hormones. This is why change initially feels so uncomfortable. The body demands the emotional states it is used to, even if they are harmful. It is similar to trying to quit cigarettes or sugar. The body resists because it is accustomed to certain substances and craves them. In the same way, the body may resist the shift from anger and stress to calm and relaxation. It literally craves the chemical compounds associated with old emotional habits. But this is precisely where true transformation begins. When you teach the body to exist in new states, peace, love, gratitude, you reprogram not only the mind but the nervous system as well. The body no longer needs stress hormones to feel normal. Instead, it begins to seek elevated emotional states. This is not just a shift in thinking, but a deep physiological change. You change your internal chemistry, recalibrating the body to an entirely different mode of functioning. We have walked the path from recognizing automatic reactions and their physiological nature to learning the tools that transform them. Now it is time to talk about the peak of this journey, true emotional mastery and a state of unshakable calm, regardless of external circumstances. This stage is the result of all previous steps. When you raise your inner energy, you become unreachable. Someone may say something extremely unpleasant, and you simply won't feel the familiar reaction. Why? Because you no longer operate on the same level of consciousness as the irritant. This does not mean losing sensitivity or becoming indifferent. It means that your internal frequency has shifted so much that external triggers no longer find resonance within you. They simply pass by. Imagine that triggers are radio signals of a certain frequency. If you are tuned to the same wavelength, anger, fear, judgment, you receive these signals and react. But when you deliberately train your mind and body to remain in states of calm, gratitude, and love, you switch to a different frequency. And then the old irritants simply cannot hook you because you no longer resonate with them. As you elevate your energy, you become resilient. Someone may insult you, and instead of feeling hurt, you remain calm. Someone may ignore you, and you won't feel rejected. Not because the situation is changed, but because you have changed. This is profound liberation. You no longer depend on other people's actions or life's twists to maintain inner balance. This calm becomes part of you. People and circumstances that once triggered you lose their influence, not because they have changed, but because you have moved beyond your old reactions. Your brain is no longer programmed for automatic responses. It is tuned to conscious mastery. You are no longer a vibrational match to what once caused you pain. A consistent focus on creative, elevated states naturally keeps you in peace. The result is a deep sense of freedom. You do not avoid challenges and you do not suppress emotions. You rise above them. You stop allowing external events to dictate your inner state. This is life without emotional turbulence, movement with clarity and stability. It is not just happiness, it is a state of solid, unshakable inner peace that remains regardless of what happens. This is true emotional mastery. We have reached the final point of our journey, the attainment of genuine freedom. This is not freedom from external circumstances, but freedom within. It is the culmination of all the work you have done. Now nothing external can destroy the peace inside you. Inner calm no longer depends on conditions, it grows from within. This is a special state of being in which no matter what happens around you, you remain centered. It is not suppression of emotions or avoidance of challenges, it is the ability to rise above them. It is the refusal to let external events dictate your inner world. When you act from a place of calm, you stop reacting and begin responding consciously. You no longer live on emotional swings, you move through life with clarity and stability. The key to this state is understanding that emotions are a choice. They may feel automatic, but that is an illusion. In every situation, you assign meaning to what is happening, and that meaning creates your feeling. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You can interpret it as a personal insult and get angry, or you can see it as insignificant and remain calm. Someone criticizes you. You can take it to heart or stay unshaken, knowing that other people's words do not define you. The difference lies in perception, and perception is always within your control. One of the main obstacles to peace is attachment. People tie their happiness to outcomes, expectations, and how they believe life should unfold. They expect certain behavior from others and specific developments in events. When reality does not match these expectations, suffering arises. But true peace is born not from control, but from acceptance. By releasing attachment to how things should be and accepting life as it is, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional turmoil. You begin to see that events themselves are neither good nor bad. The mind makes them so. Living in a state of inner peace requires training. It is not an instant achievement, but a practice. The more often you choose calm over reaction, the stronger it becomes. Every challenge gives you a choice. Allow it to break your balance or maintain your center. Over time, peace stops being a goal. It becomes your natural state. You no longer try to control the external world. You master your internal one. And once you reach this level of mastery, you begin to perceive life differently, not as something that happens to you, but as a process you consciously guide. This is true, unshakable freedom.